Bro, tell me.
Hi guys, I'm Lani,
I'm Natt,
and welcome to
bro.
Tell Me. Okay, and today we're going to be telling you about ways to get over a breakup, or at least the ways that Nat and I have tried to get over breakups. We're going to be talking about 3 things that each of us do or say to ourselves in order to pick ourselves back up after that sadness and darkness of letting go of what we thought was love once upon a time. Okay, so Nat, do you want to go first?
Yes. My first one might not work for everyone, okay? But usually in a relationship, when I love so fully that it's hard for my brain to switch from love to hate. So, what works best for me is trying to have compassion for the other person. I just wanted to add a little insert because while editing this, I realized that I sounded like a saint and I am definitely not. And this method right here, this process that I'm describing in the video comes after me like bitching and like already talking shit and everything like that, and realizing that doing all of that did not help me feel better. Yeah. I'm spiritual and I believe that people are inherently good. So I try to think, like, oh, whatever they did that crossed the boundaries that led to the relationship ending, there was probably a dissonance between the love inside them and the action they took. Usually maybe it's like insecurity or, looking for validation or whatever it is, but these feelings are hurtful, like they're painful to feel. So I just try to have compassion for that. And doesn't mean that you have to go back because you have compassion. You can understand that they totally cross your boundaries, right? Like you didn't deserve that. You deserve someone who would treat you better, but you can also have the understanding that like, oh, they probably did that because there's something in them that needed some reflection on. It doesn't mean that they completely didn't love you or they were a completely bad person. I believe everyone is inherently good.
So it sounds like you try to make sense of the breakup in a way that gives you peace. What I like about your strategy also is that you don't try to focus on the negative. It sounds like you don't try to focus on the negative, but you want to have compassion for that person, because I believe that if you only focus on the negative, then it just builds up resentment and it makes it a lot harder to
Yeah.
actually give a chance to the next person who might actually deserve it.
Yeah. And I feel like that tension of anger and hatred is actually bad for yourself. So it's better to feel like, oh, like I hope they figure it out. Like whatever it is they were, that led them to do that. I hope they figure it out.
Okay.
All right. How
Uh,
about you?
yeah. So my first go-to strategy is to just think about love as, because you said that you have trouble switching from love to hate. But for
Mhm.
me, I don't just look at love and hate as emotions. So it's not that I have an ease of switching from one to the other. And it's not even that I switch from one to the other. It's that I consider those in more of a scientific sense. So I think of love as associated with hormones and events and all of these things that create bonding between individuals, right? And similar, when people take drugs, those hormones and everything, they build up and you're just like, "Oh my god, euphoria, love, everything feels nice." And so I consider that type of ecstasy of being in love, that euphoria of being in love, as, and then missing it as going through a withdrawal phase, which can be so difficult. Love for a lot of people, I think, can be a really addictive thing. And I don't think I'm very different from a lot of people in that sense. I definitely feel love, but the way I consider it and how I feel it, I like rationalize through it. So whenever I go through a breakup, I try to remember that, okay, this is a withdrawal phase. It's going to go away. It's going to go down. I've been here before and I can get back on the horse again, or I can stand up again. I can get back out of this hole, but I just have to wait and then do some other steps that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. I think that works because it makes you feel hopeful, right? If you compare it to like an addiction, because you know the chemical is going to rebalance. So it's like something to look forward to, that, oh, it's gonna feel better for sure,
Mhm.
right? Because sometimes people say like time heals, but then like to have that reasoning behind that makes you feel like, oh, like I know for sure just taking that time to rebalance. Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me. I'm like a very like I'm more like an emotional person, so like logics don't always work for me. So I have to work through my emotion. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. What's your number 2?
Okay. So my number two is accepting that you did love all of the good moments. Even though, maybe you were betrayed and you felt like, oh, your ego is like, oh, I don't want to love these moments anymore. It's because I don't think that person actually loved the moments as much as I did,
Mhm.
or as much as I thought they did, right? Like, how is it that they just discard, like, did something that would jeopardize it if they cherish it as much as I did, so then your ego doesn't want to cherish anymore because you're like,
Mhm.
"Ugh, if they don't love it, then I don't love it too, you know what I mean? But I think you have to accept that you did actually love those moments, and you were there, when you were there presently, you and them, even though you don't know who they were, you didn't fully know who they were in those moments. You did spend that time together. Like, that was real. You did have that talk together. You did build a future together, right? So you have to accept that and grieve that fully. And it sucks. I know, like, it sucks in the beginning because it's like mourning a death, right? But yes, that's what it takes, because I feel like if you try to trick yourself otherwise and you're like not trying to feel that grief, you're just like pushing it down. It's not coming out,
Mhm.
So I think you need to let it out. You need to feel that emotion. Just, yes, it's gonna hurt so much, and it's gonna hurt your ego so much to admit that, like, maybe in those moments I did love it more than
Mhm.
they did. It's gonna hurt a lot. Because your ego wants to feel special. Your ego wants to feel like, oh, like that person loved that moment too. And I was the only one, and
Mhm.
whatever. But even though that's not true, your feelings are still true.
Mhm.
So you have to accept that and grieve it, grieve the memories, cry it out.
Yeah. And it's so true because I feel like a lot of the time people don't realize that when their heart is broken, some of that actually does come from your ego being hit, right?
Mhm.
Because your reality was kind of shattered. You thought that you were just this really special person and that they only said specific words to you, maybe, or that they only did these specific things with you because they told you that. And
Mhm.
then you realize, like, okay, they built me up to think I'm this thing on a pedestal.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then your ego gets brought down when you find out maybe there were
Yeah.
lies or something. They weren't completely honest with you. But they're just like, oh no, my heart is broken because, but it's explicable, right? Why your heart would be broken because you thought you were special. That makes sense, but it is attached to ego in a sense. It doesn't mean that you always have to just associate those negative thoughts, those memories with negative thoughts just because everything's over. You can just be like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
that was really nice. Oh my gosh, I felt like that once. I want to feel like that again, but with someone else
Mhm.
who's going to value that feeling with me.
Mhm. Yeah. Exactly.
I love love.
I know. I'm driven by love. Like,
Mhm.
as bad as that sound in this society where you're supposed to be independent and everything, but I am driven by love.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to digress. Okay. So, my number 2, are we on my number
You're
2?
number two. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, my number 2 is creating new memories. So, this is kind of going off with your thing. So yours is to still cherish those moments and not just think negatively about them, right? Not to discredit those good moments. Mine is because remembering those good moments hurts to know that I have to let them go.
Mhm.
But I just try to make new memories in those places, doing those activities that I did with that special person, so that I can still enjoy doing them, but not necessarily trying to erase those memories that I did with them, because I know that, they were really special and they're
I don't
attached
think you can
to.
erase them. Like they're gonna be there. You
I
can
mean,
try to push them down, but
yeah, exactly. So some people can
yeah.
suppress them, whether willingly or not, but I try not to actively try to erase them. I just try to create more memories on top of them to remember that I can enjoy this even without that person, you know.
Hmm.
And so that helps going to those places not hurt as much anymore.
Yeah, I think that one works for me. Yeah, like taking friends and families to restaurants I used to, love going with them. It's definitely not replacing the memory, but in one way, it shows you that you can still have fun here
Hmm.
without that person. And second, like now that when your memory comes up about that place, you spent that time with that person, um, you have another memory that you can pull up and be like, oh, also did have a really good time there with my friends and family.
Hmm. Hmm. Definitely. Okay. So what's your number
Yeah.
three?
My number three is, so usually when you break up with someone, you feel like you're missing out, right? You're missing out on the fun memories, the humor, the the cuddly moments, the cute moments, uh, the deep talks, right? But you have to remember that you contributed at least 50% of those moments. And if you really look back, sometimes those moments, like you contributed more than 50% of it. Like you were the cute and cuddly one. That's what made the moment cute and cuddly, right? Like you were the funnier one. You were the more lighthearted one. And that's what made the moments so lighthearted and good, you know? And you have to know that you're not missing out on that. Like those things are still inside you, and now you can share it with your friends and family or someone in your future that will treat you the way you want to be treated.
And so I think that that kind of thought helps when we think, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore because, no one
Yeah, or
ever
like I'm
does this with
missing out
me.
on this.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I miss that cuddly moment, like
Yeah.
that was so cute. And then you look back and you're like, wait, I was the cuddly and cute one,
Hmm.
And you're like, wait, that it's still in here. Like I still
Hmm.
can experience it because that was me.
Hmm. Exactly. And
Mhm.
there's someone that's going to be just as cuddly, just as funny, just as adventurous, just as if
Yeah.
you take the
Don't
time.
settle.
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly. Like get to know the person before you commit, or, and make sure that they're consistent, I guess.
Yeah, oh my God, don't even talk about consistency. Like if they say something and their actions contradict it, like I've learned like one time is enough. Like
Mhm.
one lie is enough.
Mhm.
Especially early on in the relationship, like
Yeah.
no. Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like if they can lie about small things, they can lie about big things, right? That's
Yeah.
something that, in the past I tried to give people benefit of the doubt, right? Because I thought that was like a good person thing to do. You give them benefit
Mhm.
of the doubt, but you honestly like no, watch how you have to watch for yourself too. Like
Mhm.
if they can lie about something small, like they can lie about something big. So
Yeah. It sounds like you're hiding
yeah.
behind a hedge with like an AK or something. Like, I'm ready for war. You have to defend
Well, I
yourself.
want someone honest
Yeah.
anyways. Like, I think like the watcher should want someone honest too. Don't like you should want someone who is able to reflect and represent them accordingly. Like represent themselves accordingly.
Hmm. I agree.
Hmm.
I agree. Are we on number three? Am I on number three?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, my number three is to remember why the breakup is a good solution to whatever was happening, right? Breakups happen for a reason. Maybe because someone or both partners had a better opportunity elsewhere. So like maybe they had to move or something and it just wasn't going to work for both of them, but they wanted to look after their happiness and fulfillment in life. And I think that's the most important, because you cannot be happy in a relationship if you're not happy with yourself. I strongly believe that your own happiness is more important than the happiness of the couple. Because if you're feeling like something's missing in you, and then you put yourself in a relationship, and because you think that the other person fills that void, when they stop filling that void, because we all evolve, right? When they stop filling that void, resentment is going to build up again. So we always have to be the ones to complete our circle, fill our cup, and then someone can maybe add whipped cream with their personality, right? So, or whatever, if it's a tea or something, then they can add, I don't know, a flower. So, just focusing on the fact that the breakup happened for a reason. And maybe the two personalities diverged, right? We grew along different paths. Maybe we didn't realize what the person was actually like in the beginning. We like missed some signs. But either way, there was some kind of disconnect somewhere. It wasn't harmonious anymore. And when that happens, when problems start to build up and resentment builds up, that eventually a breakup's gonna happen. So
Yeah, I think you have to think like, do I want to live with this the rest of my life? Like, and
yes.
and not like not like the potential, right? But like whatever is going on, like you have to not assume that they're gonna change. Like you have to think, okay, well, can I live with this action recurrently forever? And if the answer is no, then probably it's time to leave. And it's hard. It's hard to leave. I'm not gonna lie. Even though like they've done some messed up thing, like sometimes I have like abandonment wound, so it's really hard for me to leave a relationship. So I understand that, but just remember that you deserve true, pure love. Everyone does, whatever that means to you, right? Like that, what it means to me might mean differently to you, but don't settle. There is someone out there for you. You have to believe it.
Exactly. And you won't meet them. The universe won't send them your way if you keep maintaining yourself in the same situation that's not giving you what you want,
Yes.
because it's not fair for you. It's not fair for the person that you want to meet.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to yourselves and what your heart wants. And then that's how we find happiness. I know it's a lot easier said than done. Okay, so those are our 3 things that we try to tell ourselves and remember when we're getting over a breakup. If you guys have any other strategies that maybe we did not mention, please feel free. Remember, this is a community. We're trying to help each other, help us help you and each other.
Help me. Help me, please.
So, and also, if there's anything that you disagree with, because I'm always open to anyone who might disagree with me. So like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye.